Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Busy Brain Podcast. I'm your host, Free Slam, and today we have a special guest on.
Hello, my name is Lauren Shoss.
Let me give you my little backstory on how I've gotten connected with Lauren. The first way is I have released something that is like a Dropbox.
Okay.
And people can leave anonymous messages.
Okay.
I got a message from a Guelph Storm fan, current Guelph Storm fan probably, but when your boyfriend was on the Guelph Storm team, you guys both collectively came together and started a non-profit organization called Zilkin's Vision.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
But
it's a hard one.
Yeah. Like what? So I got a message saying that she absolutely loved the content that you were putting out, especially while you were like not playing for Guelph.
Me and my hockey.
Well, yeah, you and your hockey career in Guelph. While your boyfriend was playing for Guelph, and then also just this conversation behind just like this openness about mental health. I think that the fans on on the backside of it just have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Danny and I started that organization in August of 2022. So I guess just over 2 years ago now. So that's one thing that I do with him. Danny played for the Guelph Storm, like you said. He ended up getting traded in the last year of his junior career to Kitchener, so 20 minutes away. It was barely even a trade.
Bad.
Yeah, he literally stayed at the same billets.
Oh, really? Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. And then now he's playing professionally. He's signed with the Winnipeg Jets, was drafted by them 2022. And then, he's playing for their AHL affiliate, the Manitoba Moose.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah. And then alongside all of that, I'm in school. I've been in school for a hot minute. I graduated from McMaster's, around here.
Damn.
Yeah, in 2021.
So you're smart, yeah.
A dry. And then I went on to get my master's at Boston University. Graduated in 2023 with a degree in sports psych and mental health counseling. And now I'm doing my doctorate in clinical psychology at James Madison University in Virginia. So I've been in school. This is year 8 of my postgrad.
This is for the full-time student.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm here in Toronto for my fall break. I do have a lot to do.
You just flew back from Winnipeg?
I did, yes. I was in Winnipeg. It's kind of a last-minute trip.
Probably can't really plan much, eh?
You can't really plan a lot, and truthfully, last year we went 3 and a bit months not seeing each other. From the time that I moved to school, I didn't see him again until December when I took my first trip out to
really
Winnipeg.
Busy, I assume.
Yeah, super duper busy, and I also just was trying to feel out the whole school thing. Is it okay to miss classes? Is it not? I didn't really know what to expect, so we pushed through it, and it was okay. Obviously, it was really hard, but we were fine. But this year, I struggled so much going back to school. Literally for probably the first week and a half of me going back to school this year, I cried every single day, and that has never happened to me before.
Okay.
I don't know what was going on, but I was I just feel I really need to see him, and I think he needed to see me too. So it was super expensive. I was literally only there for 2.5 days, but it was super worth it.
Yeah.
I got back last night, so I feel refreshed finally, and we'll see him again in November.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice having for me at least, during long distance, I like having that time that I can go and see them again.
Yes.
Because one thing that, and I'm not, I date an athlete, I don't date a professional athlete, semi-pro. And this glamorization behind the scenes of our relationships, and seeing, because they get to see, if they wanted to, they could tune in to see our boyfriends play, right? They could turn on the TV and they could watch them play, and they see them as a player, and they see them as, it kind of sucks to say, but as a thing.
Yeah,
and
more of an object.
More of an object, and situationally, they don't realize that like these players also have lives and like they have emotions, they have feelings, they have families, friends, etc. So I think that a massive thing, and like you and Danny have been together for what, 5 years? Mm-hmm. So it's a really long time. You've been through what, 2 drafts now together.
Drafts, so contracts, 3 different teams. Yeah,
like it's a lot. So it's like that's something that is very glamorized to the public eye. It's like, well, you're lucky you have a hockey boyfriend. Well, at the end of the day, like you don't need to.
Right.
Like you don't need to at all, actually. Like it's not. It's like if you're dating a famous person, it's like you don't need to be.
Right.
Like you choose. We choose these are choices that like we get to make.
You choose the person,
like, not the life,
not the lifestyle, not their career, like, and then you make the choice to support them in that career, but like it does come with a lot of sacrifice, a lot of stress. Like I think, like you said, it's very, very glamorized, especially nowadays. Like there's
wig culture.
Yeah,
is crazy.
There was a whole show a few years ago about hockey.
Right, there was.
And like I liked it in the sense that it actually did show you some of the not so glamorous parts, but like it still puts it on this pedestal, right? Of like, oh, you could be on a TV show, like
and like the money aspect of it all too. It's just.
I think there's also one coming out about the Chiefs wives, like Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift, and I'm like, here we go, like
no one's gonna like that.
Not to mention in football they make like way more money than
wow, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun for the world. And so. I want could you like give me like, or give like the audience this like there's the disconnect from people thinking that your life and this relationship that you get with your partner is so easy.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't think it's so easy, but they do put out this idea that we should be happy no matter what, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're with an athlete or we're with someone. Yeah, just be grateful to have this.
Yeah.
Can you like explain a bit more, like, not to, and by the way, this isn't like at all like a negative, but like honestly, like go into like those negative aspects and like those glamorized things that like you think that he wants to move 10 times, like no. Like let's talk about like stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, like I'll start off by saying like there are definitely pros that come with the lifestyle, like it's a big if, if you are successful, if you have a long-term career, there's a lot that can come on the positive side, financially speaking, opportunity-wise, like even just looking at what we were able to do with Shulkin's vision, like so quickly, so fast, is because of the platform that he has as an athlete, which I'm super grateful for. And like getting to go different places and whatever. And it's also just like, he's a person that I deeply, deeply love, and getting to watch him do what he loves is a blessing every single day. But like we live hours and hours and hours and hours and hours apart. All the time. Yeah. So I go to school in Virginia. I live in like some rural tiny ass town.
In the States.
Like,
so there's a border.
There is a border. There's a border. It's about a like 9-ish hour drive like from Toronto. But like,
and I'm complaining. I'm like bitching to you earlier. I'm like, I'm so mad. I need to drive an hour and a half to Barrie and 2 hours.
It sucks. It all sucks. Okay, all distance sucks. But
well,
like,
aren't you empathetic?
It's true. But like Winnipeg is a 21-hour drive from Toronto, because you either have to go like up and over the lakes, like through Thunder Bay and shit, or you have to go under.
Like, I
know. And then to get to Winnipeg from where I live, it's either a 24-hour drive, which like no chance, or it's like 2 flights, because there's no direct flights to Winnipeg from anywhere other than like Minneapolis and like maybe 3 other places in the US. So like I'm flying out there in November, and I'm flying from Washington, D.C. to Denver, which is like a 3-hour flight. And then I have an overnight layover in Denver. Yep. And then I have like another 2.5-hour flight to Winnipeg. And coming back, I have the same thing, but my layover's in Toronto, which is lucky for me. Like that's home, so I can see my family and spend the night at home.
Wow, breathe.
But like, it's like 8 hours. Like, it's crazy. And so like that in and of itself is really difficult. And like, obviously it's a choice that we're both making to be like apart. Like I didn't have to quote unquote go to school and like be that far away. I could have also tried to apply to a school closer, but like at the end of the day, like I have my own goals and my own aspirations, and I need a purpose in my life, and I need to find a sense of fulfillment somewhere. And I love what I do for my career. And so it was important to me to not give that up, especially not yet. Like we're still very young.
So young.
We're not married. Like there's no, you know what I mean? And so it's like, for me to put my life on hold to like follow him around doesn't make sense for me right now. There will come a point for that, I'm sure. Like obviously I don't want to be like raising kids alone or whatever, but that's still so far away that right now my priority is to like have our relationship, but also to focus on me a little bit. But like it is so incredibly hard. Like it's so hard. I mean, like when you have that person that means like so much to you, and like obviously we've been dating for like 5 years, but we were actually friends for like 7 years before that.
No!
Yeah, I've known Danny since he moved to Canada, which he did when he was 9. So like we've known each other for
you guys are endgame.
Yeah, like we're like best friends and
you
dating.
Like,
yeah. Like we've always been close. Like it was so natural. Yeah. But
you
like,
lucky bitch. Like you literally had no other worry.
No, he's wonderful, but like not having him around sucks.
No
like,
shit. He's been with you since you were like in the womb. At this point.
Yeah, he's been with me through my whole life. He knows me better than anybody. Like,
are your family's friends?
Yes, that's how we got to know it. He played hockey with my brother.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it makes it even harder. Like you don't have your person.
That's your best friend.
Yes. And like when you're in school, especially doing a doctorate, it's so hard. Like I'm stressed constantly. Like there's no break. Like again, right now I'm on a break. It's not a break. Like to do my dissertation, all these things. And so it's like to not have that one person that like can kind of make everything better and have him be so far away, right? Like it's not even like, oh, you know what, I'm feeling really stressed, I'm going to take a weekend trip and drive 8 hours and come see you. Like, I have to get on 2 flights that normally cost anywhere from $700 to $1,000.
It doesn't feel possible.
It's not possible. Yeah.
And, like, that's something, like, I haven't really even gotten to, like, look at, in, like, even, like, my perspective, because, like, you're right, like, I can pick up and drive 8 hours. Right. Like, I could. Yeah. Like, I go to, like, I have my own stuff, and I don't really have that time, but realistically speaking, I could. Yeah. I could push, I could push some work things around, I could push school around, like, I could. Right. I'm also I'm in my undergrad. Right. So, like, I have so many things, and, like, I'm stressed, and I'm upset, and, like, my best friend's gone, and I've only been with mine for a year. Right. Right, so it's, like, I, like, just, like, am feeling super empathetic towards this, because it's, like, that the one thing with the difference between like a long distance athlete relationship and like a long distance like student relationship per se is there is a difference in that distance. There is a huge distance in the sense of like you guys are kind of living the same life from a different different places. Yeah. Whereas this like you guys both have no idea what it's like to live in each other's shoes. Yeah. Exactly. So living in this mic is gonna pick up my stomach growling, and it's gonna be criminal.
I'm like thinking about that every time.
I know my stomach. Like, oh no! I keep like grabbing it. No, I grabbed it a bunch in my last episode when I was filming alone, and it was fine. Here awkwardly. So like in this aspect of like they're at the rink. Yeah. This is their life. Yeah. This is their everything, and but you also have your own everything. I do. So that's something like really hard for people to understand. Yeah. That like not everyone, and like no harm, no foul. Like if you don't want to work and you don't want to like do this
and
stuff,
if you have that privilege,
if you have the privilege to go and travel with your significant other and like be able to like go and be with them in Winnipeg. Like, if you could, you would, in a sense, absolutely. Right? But, like, there's also ways that, like, you could but wouldn't. Yes. Right? Yes. So, I'm glad that, like, you're able to, like, tell, like, even, like, this audience that, like, hey, like, I have, like, realistically speaking, I have the privilege that, like, I could look into schools in Winnipeg or near there where I can make it easier, but I'm so passionate about sports psychology and making like my voice more prominent and heard, and use my boyfriend's platform. Exactly. Like take it and run with
Right.
it, dude. Like, I'm about to, like, hop on Danny's back and be like,
You're like,
let's
"Let's
go.
go."
Like, let's go make this bread for people who
Exactly.
need it. Like,
Exactly.
there's, like, you take that and run with it. And so, like, that's so admirable because there's so many people that, like, don't want to, like, go and advocate for themselves. Like, clearly, put it this way, you have enough self-determination to advocate for yourself in your own career, in your own life, knowing that you do kind of have that back delay that you could kind of go and you have somewhere else you could stay. Where, why, if anyone's voice you want to listen to, that it would be yours.
Right.
Because, like, you're doing, you get to consciously make all of these decisions, whereas Danny gets to get told what to do and has to do it, right? So want to give us, like, a bit of more insight on, like, how that must feel, like, coming from, like, people don't understand how hard it is to make decisions. And they get told to do something,
they do.
and they gotta do it.
You
gotta pick. You gotta find it, do it yourself, find the doctoral programs, get the grades to get into that. And there's so many things that people don't understand, like, externally. From, like, he's coming home from the rink, might be stressed out. Imagine what she's going through at the same time, but because he's on TV, he's more, like, looked at. Like, it's
it's in your face.
It's in your face.
And it's better understood, I think, right? And, like, it's just such a different, like, on your point of decisions and making choices, right? Like, I struggle with that sometimes from my perspective of, like, when the long distance feels really hard, like, you almost take that on yourself. It's like, well, I chose to go to school in Virginia.
You're right.
Like, I chose to apply to programs in the US. I chose to go to that. Whereas he doesn't have that choice, right? Like, him ending up in Winnipeg, that's where he just got drafted to. We didn't have control over that, right? Like, and so he doesn't get to choose that, and I do. And so then it's almost like sometimes you feel like it's my fault that we have to do a long distance thing. And so when I'm struggling with it, I'm like, well, can I even struggle with it? Like, is that okay for me to struggle? Right. Because it's like, I kind of did that to myself in a way, but, like, I didn't, because at the end of the day, I'm like,
no.
Right. And, like, my career matters, and
you matter just as much as your relationship, if not more.
Yeah. And, like, I think it's tricky sometimes too, because the way that I see it, at least, is, like, if I hadn't done school, like, I don't know if I would have been able to get myself back into school if I had taken some time off after my master's. So, like, I needed to just kind of push through and do it. And so I made that decision to just go for it, partially because, like, knowing what it would do to our relationship, like, it's difficult, but also knowing that, like, if I didn't, and then 10 years from now never went back to school, like, I don't want to feel any kind of resentment towards him. You know what I mean? Like, I love him, and I don't want to feel like he was the reason I didn't do something, and I don't think he wants to feel that either, which is why he's incredibly supportive of what I'm doing. I was just going to say that. So
he's supportive of, like,
very
your decisions
supportive.
And, like,
and, like, obviously it sucks. Like, I'm there this weekend, and he's like, why can't you just stay here forever? Why can't you just? And I was like, I would if I could, and, like, you know that, right?
Like, you're my everything.
Exactly. And that's why every chance I get, I go, right? Like, I have an 8-day break in November. I'm going, like, I'm leaving a day early and missing one class or something just to get there and spend as much time there as humanly possible, right? But, like, I don't want to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now be with him and be thinking, what if I had gone to school and gotten this degree? Where could I be in my own career? Where could we be as a family? Like, I don't want to be thinking that. And so it's a tough decision.
But you're so, like, I don't think you understand how many people, like, need to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many people that feel obligated, in a sense, to move around with them.
Yeah,
and
when it's normalized.
Yeah, and, like, their career matters more, in a sense. And I really, like, I'm so admirable of, like, the work you're doing. Like, I truly am. Like, you're incredible. Like, this whole thing is incredible. Like, clearly your relationship, like, it's just has amazing communication. Like, holy shit.
You
like,
have to. When you spend 3 months apart and then come together for a week and then another 3. Yeah, and, like, the thing is, too, I think it's one thing, and, like, this is where the whole glamorization piece comes in, right? Like, it's one thing if you're married to Ovechkin, or
Yes.
Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid, right? Like,
yeah.
who are making
Guaranteed.
millions. Yeah. And like they could retire tomorrow and
Okay,
they will have
fine.
made enough money that you will never, like neither
Your
of you
kids
will ever
are
have to
fine.
right. Everyone is set, right?
Everyone's set.
Right. And there's a good number of NHL players that are like that, right? That make a shit ton of money.
And kudos to you.
Right. And again, if you have that privilege to be able to say, well, it's been my dream to be a stay-at-home mom. We have kids. Like if I worked, it would be too complicated. So I'm just going to, cool. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I don't care what other people's decisions are, right? It's not my life. But I will say that a lot of hockey players are not in that position.
Most,
like,
okay?
most are not, right?
Majority
are not.
have no idea what's happening next.
Like, they sign a 1-year contract, and they could be playing up and making $800,000, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot of money, but it's not enough to do that for 1 year and then be done and be okay for the rest of your life, right? Like, you can't live off of that forever. And then a lot of them end up not knowing if they're being sent back down, where they're making a fraction of that, usually a tenth of that, right? Like, guys in the AHL are making, like, quote unquote, like, normal people money, like, a normal salary. Yeah, which again, like, you're fine, like, you can live off of that, but you're not gonna be able to live off that forever. And so in my brain, obviously, I have full faith in Danny to be successful. He's been successful so far. He works his ass off. Like, it's crazy.
Clearly you do too.
Right. But, like, you never know, right? No. Like, and even last year, Danny got hurt. Like, he had a season-ending injury, had a shoulder issue, had surgery in February. Like, it can go in the blink of an eye, right? And, like, you've seen people that have had career-ending injuries or that, you know, they don't re-sign a contract. Like, things happen, and I don't want our entire livelihood to be riding off of something so unbelievably unpredictable.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that also helps me secure myself in my decision.
When you get anxious too, I'm sure like that could be something that you can also like pull up out of the. It's hard to do in the moment for sure. Like when you're blaming yourself for the long distance and everything, but like to realize that like, hey, at the end of the day, I'm doing this for us because. God forbid something happens, like I've got us, we're good. Yeah, like exactly. And it's good to know that, and like God forbid something happens, like within the relationship, like you're good. Too. Yeah, that's like you're good on, like you're good. Yeah. So like that's like so amazing. Yeah, absolutely. That you have all of that. Like you should be really proud of yourself. Jesus, I don't know many people or anyone even like that. You've got it all like to
It's a lot.
And like. Again, with like even like the call ups, call downs, like this whole thing. Yeah. Imagine like we as like people like to have control over things, and whether we think so or not, like subconsciously, we're always trying to control situations. Like you don't know until you know, and so
it's true.
Getting and like within like you don't know until you know. It's like, for example, like getting that call and going, "Hey, you're going to Winnipeg." Like, deuces, like let's go. There's probably so much like and even like you went from Guelph to Kitchener, like what's it like going from, and like I just did Erie to Owen Sound. The drive from my hometown to them is like the same distance, except there's no border I get to cross.
That's
so it's
nice.
kind of better for me at least.
Good.
I actually, you know what, I really can't complain sitting next to you, so I'm just fine. But that being said, it's also really, really intimidating.
Yes,
like
it
switching,
can be extremely intimidating.
And like I would never know like how it feels to like go from even like the OHL to the AHL, or like go from like do that jump. Like what's that been like? Like meeting people on like not his end, but like your end.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely been a pretty big transition. I think for both of us, like obviously the skill jump is big. And so last year with his rookie season, like he struggled a little bit initially. It took him a little while to kind of get going, and then obviously gets hurt.
That's brutal.
But yeah, I mean, on my end, similar to you with your experience in Erie, like I had a very similar experience in Guelph. Like I had so many
I've heard good things
fans.
About them.
Yeah, I mean Guelph itself is just such a like nice city, and like he was also super lucky. His billets were like phenomenal. Like
Bruce has really good billets.
Yeah, I think he texts his billet mom still like every day, and he's like 2 years out from living with them now. And she like messages me all the time. Yeah, like they're adorable. Every
like,
time
that's
he's home,
relationships you get to
yes,
keep. Like that's
it's like a second.
Yes.
It's a second family. Like that's what a billet is supposed to be. But a lot of the guys don't get lucky with that, and their billets are just the people that like feed them for 3 years.
You're housed.
Like yeah. No, these like his billets, Amanda and Steve were like literally family. Like we always say, like we'll go back and visit for years. We'll be bringing our kids there one day. Like they are family. Like they're amazing. So like such a positive experience. Love the billets. But yeah, so we were in Guelph for 3 years, 3.5 years, which is a long time.
That's a good run. That's a good run.
Yeah, you become part of the community. I mean, I had like tons of fans that had me on social media. I like would go to games and fans would know who I was and like would say hi and I would say hi to them.
That's so sweet.
Like the team was really supportive. All the staff were great. So like we had a really good experience. And then obviously getting traded was a bit of a whirlwind. I was with him when that happened. I didn't know a lot of the other girlfriends in Guelph. I will say like Guelph, I feel like a lot of the girls didn't actually live in Guelph. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us didn't actually live in Guelph. Like people lived in Toronto, like in people's hometowns.
Yeah, like I live in Ottawa.
Yeah, so like you don't really know them that well. No. Like I maybe had like 2 of them on Instagram or something, but like I didn't know them that well. So getting traded didn't really affect me socially. But like just going to a new place is really intimidating. Yeah, and Kitchener, like if anyone's ever witnessed a game, it's wild.
Really?
Like 7,000+ people sold out every night.
Erie's crazy though.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Erie was really fun.
I think aside from London, Kitchener might be like the second largest OHL arena. London's obviously huge. They do concerts and shit there, but like I'm pretty sure Kitchener's at least second, maybe I don't know. But yeah, but Kitchener was going on a run. They wanted to try, so they brought in a whole bunch of people, Danny included. Ended up losing to none other than London in the second round. But like that was a bit of a whirlwind. Like we were taken out of a community where we had become part of it for years. Yeah. And then all of a sudden get thrown into this really ultra competitive, like pushing for a cup run, like super intense team. And like that was definitely an experience. Yeah. I was there when he got traded. He was excited, but at the same time it was really sad to be leaving Guelph, I think. So again, didn't affect me as much because I just wasn't around, but transitioning to pro has definitely been a little crazy.
I can see it on your face.
I mean, it's just a different, like, again, you go from junior where like, it's not like the guys are living with their girlfriends yet. A lot of those relationships are like newer and like they don't last all the time.
Yeah, you said it.
I'm just gonna say it transparently.
She said it, not me. I didn't say anything.
Of all the relationships on our junior team, there's not many that are still together.
Solely her.
We are one of them. But yeah, like that's just the reality of the culture. And then they go pro and they move away, and a lot of the times it doesn't last, right? Like it's just different. Whereas in pro,
you got a good one. Hey,
thank you. I try.
I've only known him for 20 years.
Only my whole life. Yeah, half of it. But in pro, it's the complete opposite. Like most of the girls live there. Right. It's all these long-term, super serious relationships. If they're not engaged or married, they're probably going to be soon. They live together. They have dogs together. Like whatever, right? And like there are some newer relationships, but like I would say the vast majority, at least on our team, are relatively long-term. Like at least a couple of years. Most of the girls won't like pick up and move until you've been together for a couple of years. That's again a big commitment to be making. But yeah, I think our team, the AHL team, has probably a higher number of girls that are like live in, like they actually live in the city. Probably because Winnipeg is so freaking hard to get to. So like if you don't live in Winnipeg with your boyfriend, it's gonna be really hard for you to see them. Especially for the American girls. The Canadians probably have a little bit of an easier time. But yeah, so like there's a lot of them. Last year our group chat probably had like 15 or 16 people in it, which is like almost our whole team. Had a significant other. And so for me, like not living there, it was really, really hard at first. I remember like reaching out to a couple girls on Instagram, but like you feel really awkward about that. Like you're like, hi, I'm so-and-so. You haven't met me yet, and you won't for another 3 months.
For a long time, but
like, if you can add me to the group chat, that would be awesome. And then, like, you're seeing all the things in the group chat, like, we're going for dinner here, we're having this event, and you're like, I'm not there for any of it. And then you meet them for the first time, and, like, they were all really nice and, like, super welcoming. But they're all good friends. Like, you know, a lot of them do workout classes every single day together. They go out for dinner at least once a week. They've played on teams together in the past. Like, and you're walking in as the like long distance newbie, like, please be my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is so awkward, but hi, I hope we get
Yeah,
along.
you like me.
Yeah, and of course then Danny's also a rookie.
So he's
still getting acclimated. So it's not like I could really meet people like through him directly because he's still getting to know everybody. So yeah, it was difficult. I'm happy to report now that a year later, I do have friends on our team. Again,
I'm happy to report, guys. I have friends on the team.
We are doing okay, but yeah, at first it was really intimidating.
Yeah.
And again, you want to be friends because they're the only people that fully understand
and like the negative and the positives of it all too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was challenging at first and still continues to be an adjustment, I would say.
Yeah, and like again, like it's so what if too, right? So it's like, am I gonna get to know these people, get to like have best friends?
Yeah,
and then,
you make friends and then a year later they're gone.
And
like,
then what?
It's crazy.
Like, are you gonna get traded? Are we gonna get traded? Like, what the hell? Like, it's really hard to like really put your foot in the door in a friendship. And like, that being said, like putting your foot in the door of friendships, like being good in your own shoes and personally,
you have to feel confident.
Yeah,
and,
you
have to be self-assured.
Yeah, like throughout, like even like I find like even like going from high school to university, like that jump,
sort of
thing.
It's
like the same sort of jump, and it's like university to the outside world, or like
that's even worse.
to new environments, like new working environments.
Yeah,
like I'm an undergraduate student in a Bachelor of Arts program.
Right.
Okay, so then when I go and I work in the field now, you also can, there's different types of ways that people can look down at you on things, and people can look up on you on things. Like, there's always something someone can say, and there's always something someone can do, so it's so good to like be able to like know who you are before going into that room, and like knowing that you don't need Danny to like be like, this is my girlfriend.
Hand you off. Yeah.
Here. Like, it's very, like, it's admirable that you're a confident enough person to go into the room and know that your presence and your relationship is enough.
Exactly.
It's not you and Danny.
No.
Like hey, like, we're together. Like, I'm my own person.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna want to go out for dinner with me.
Right.
You're probably gonna like me more than Danny. Like, that's like how I would like try and approach situations. It's like, oh, like, that's like, no, like we're here together, but we are two individuals that are best friends.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a reason he likes me.
Right.
Figure out why.
Like,
learn me.
Exactly.
Not that. So
yes, I agree.
So
and
it's
like,
really nice to see that.
Yeah, I would say so. And it takes a lot to like have that initial contact, right? Like when I reached out to the couple of them on Instagram, like that takes like
confidence.
It's ballsy, right? Like,
so ballsy.
Yeah,
people.
It's someone that they've never met before. Danny's new to the team, like all of these factors, and so like it's scary.
Yeah.
And then even when I got to Winnipeg for the first time, I like took a bit of a chance and like texted one of the girls privately and was like, I have no idea where like the wives' room is. Like, can you please show me?
Okay,
and she was awesome about it.
Awesome.
Like, she invited me over to her apartment before. We had a drink, we had dinner together, and then she walked me to the room and introduced me to everybody. Like,
see, and that one text that you were stressing out about goes that far.
And then also her willingness to do that, right? And so ever since that experience, I've really tried to do that for other people. Like when one of Danny's friends had his girlfriend come for the first time, I was like, tell her to come over before, like I can show her everything, like trying to pass that on a little bit because it's so daunting.
Yeah.
And like if I can make that feel a little bit less daunting for even one other person, like and there's such a high turnover, like especially on AHL teams because guys are constantly getting shuttled up and down, or they choose to go to Europe, or they do whatever. Like, you have to be welcoming, and like you have to make other people feel welcome because somebody did that for you, hopefully at one point.
Yeah.
And like there's just such a high rate of turnover. Like this year we have so many new people, and it's just like we're starting over. Like,
it's a lot.
Yeah, which is a lot too. Like it puts a lot on you. And again, I'm basically walking into a new room with new people, even
like
though I've been there for a year. Yeah, but like it is what it is. And just being bold enough to be like, hey, I'm new here. Can someone help me out a little bit? And hope that you picked the right person.
And like, and if you didn't,
right? Don't let that discourage you.
Being able to like, it's okay to be a little discouraged. Be like, fuck, she was a bitch.
Yeah,
like, it's
well,
okay.
It's not on you.
It's not on you.
It's not. Right?
But you can ask someone else, and like as much as it, like I personally reached out to Lauren.
Yes.
And I reached out to Zilkin's Vision on Instagram and Lauren personally. Just covering the bases. and like, that being said, like, you think that, like, I woke up, saw my message in my Dropbox, and was like, I have no care in the world to send this message right now. Like, I obviously go back and forth, reread stuff, look at things, and I'm like, okay, like, is this something I need to do? Is this, like, how should I do this? How should I word this? Should I come across, like,
do I put that exclamation point?
Yeah, do I put an exclamation point? Do I use emojis, or is that too unprofessional?
Exactly.
Like,
right, you don't want to come across too eager.
Yeah, like, you tap on all of these things, like, guys, like, we all think alike. Like, it's okay, and like, that's something truly, like, my podcast is like for, is like normalizing this voice and this stuff that we have, and like, as much as like I haven't really like touched on, like, we haven't really like dived into like the realistics on like why you started Zilkin's Vision, all of these things, but like at the end of the day, like, in the same part, it's like you have a platform and you say, hey, this is, I want to talk about this shit, and I want people to know that no one gives a shit to talk about it, and it's fine. It's fine. And it's healthy. Yeah, like, you're not like labeled in this category of like a mentally ill person or like someone who struggles because you can communicate. Like, it's literally just communication, and that's what I want to normalize. So it's so amazing to see that like you and Danny have like this like the collection between like where you guys want to go with this. So like, could you give us like a bit of a background on like the steps on like getting started with Zilkin's Vision, because like there must have been something behind it too, right? Like, going through junior hockey and maybe not being able to speak up because of scouts, or maybe not being able to speak up on a team because you have a letter and don't want anyone to feel like that you're letting anyone down,
right? Or that you're like the weak link.